I made this in 15 minutes. Hey guys, this is Erica. I was looking at my fat quarters and all of the scrap fabric that I have laying around, and I was kind of wondering what I should do with them. And so this one came to mind. It's a fully lined zipper pencil bag. Actually, you can use it for anything that you want. This bag is also customizable to whatever size you want to make it. So if you want it to be deeper, if you want it to be shorter this way, what I'm going to show you here is just the basic setup and how to go about doing it. So let's get to work. So my little bag can really be made using only one fat quarter, if you can believe that. That would mean that you'd have the same fabric on the outside of the bag as you have on the inside of the bag. But if you don't mind that, one fat quarter gets the job done. I did not want for this particular bag to have the same fabric on the inside and the outside. So I have two pieces of fabric that I'm using, two different fabrics. I have my pansies and I have this fun light blue plaid. To stabilize it a little bit, give it a little bit of body like you saw with the original, I fused a piece of fusible fleece to the back of my exterior fabric. If you don't want it to have so much body, you want it to be a little bit more collapsible and softer, you can use a lightweight interfacing if you want, like Pellon's SF 101. That's a nice woven interfacing that I love. You can also fuse some batting onto the inside of your exterior fabric and maybe do a little bit of cross-hatch quilting on it to give it a nice texture. That would be fun. But whatever you decide that you want to use is up to you. Your supplies for this project are going to be two pieces of fabric that measure out to be 10.5 inches by 12.5 inches. How did I come up with that? Well, remember that I'm using one fat quarter of fabric, and those dimensions will easily be cut from that fat quarter. But the other thing that's determining my size is my zipper. This is a 12-inch zipper. So if you have a smaller zipper, say your zipper is 7 inches, then maybe you're going to want to do a 7.5 inch length for your bag like that by maybe 10.5. The 10.5 inches is the circumference of your zipper pouch. It's all the way around. The length of your zipper, mine was 12, so I cut 12.5. So choose the length of zipper that you want to make. You can cut your fat quarter, your single fat quarter, a max of 10.5 by 12.5. Okay, the other thing that I'm going to use is a tab on either end of my bag. It'll go about right here on both sides. This was also cut from remnants from the singular fat quarter that I had cut, 5 inches long by 2 inches wide. I folded it to cross over like that. In order to use it to put into the bag, I'm going to cut it so that I have two, and I can fold those over to make my little tabs. It's going to go inside the seam on the side. These tabs can be used to attach maybe a key ring hook so that you can attach your bag to the inside of your backpack or the inside of your binder, whatever you want to hook it onto. Okay, let's get started making our bag. So I'm going to turn my fabric to the 12.5 inch edge, and that's the side that I'm going to attach my zipper to. I need to make sure that my zipper pull right here is facing my exterior fabric when I lay it on top. I'll center it right in the middle, and I'm going to pin it down. When I pin, I want to make sure that the edge of my zipper tape is in line with the edge of my fabric. I don't want any gaps. So here I have the entire edge, that 12.5 inch edge, pinned down to my zipper. I am going to use my zipper foot today so that I can allow the foot to run along the teeth of my zipper and stitch just the right distance away from it so that the zipper is secure on my fabric without my needle damaging. Okay, so there you go. I did leave my pins in. Why? Because as I stitch along, my zipper really wants to shift and be pushed out of the way and away from that clean cut edge of the fabric. I need the two of them to stay as close as they can to each other. So make sure that if you're stitching over your pins, be careful, sew slowly so that your needle doesn't meet up with one of the pins as you go along. So I'm going to take my pins out now. I'm going to lay my lining fabric face down on my zipper, lining it up nicely with my exterior fabric, and then I'm going to pin and sew across the top edge again. Now this step can be done all in one fell swoop. Some folks are more comfortable working with both layers of your fabric, the lining and the exterior fabric, to sandwich your zipper in the middle. If you'd like to do that, you go ahead and do it. Everything that I'm saying here is just a suggestion, guys. There are no hard and fast rules. You work with the comfort level that you have. It's all about just being able to create to the best of our abilities, right? So when you're sewing the lining fabric on top, you're not able to actually see the teeth of the zipper because they're underneath the fabric, right? So people ask me all the time, how is it you know exactly where to sew? The presser foot will run along the edge of the teeth, but do you know that you're in the right place for sure? Well, the thing that I do, I'll use my fingernails and put them along the outer edge of the zipper teeth so that I can see where it is, and I can use that as a guide, a distance guide, knowing that the presser foot is going to sit on the opposite side of the zipper teeth. So as I go along, I just move my fingers down and locate the opposite edge, the left edge of the zipper teeth, and use that as a guide so I can be consistent in my seam. So let me take these pins out and show you what I have. So the first side is on. There isn't a whole lot of pressing necessary in this project. Just take this to the iron real quick and give it a quick press just to keep the lining fabric pulled away from the zipper teeth, and then I'll flip it over and do the same thing with the exterior fabric to keep it pulled away from the zipper teeth. I do want to be careful though with the hot iron. I do not want to touch the teeth of the zipper because this particular zipper is nylon and I don't want the heat of the iron to damage the teeth of my zipper. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so we're pulled far enough away from the zipper teeth. Now I'm going to do a quick top stitch, and all that's going to entail is just eyeballing. It's about 1/8 of an inch in from that folded edge of that top fabric. I'm going to use my zipper foot again, but I'm going to jump over to the other side of the zipper foot so that that is the edge that can ride along the fold to keep my seam consistent. Okay, so there we go. I've done a quick little top stitch. I actually think that looks super. Normally when we do a zipper bag, you have 2 pieces of fabric on one side of your zipper and then 2 pieces of fabric on the other side of your zipper, your exterior and your interior fabric on both sides. Well, this one's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to grab 2 more pieces to attach here. We're going to separate your lining from your exterior fabric, and we're going to fold the zipper across to meet the other 12.5 inch edge of our exterior fabric. And then I'm going to pin and sew the same exact way that I did before. So I got the first side on. You see this funny tube happening here. We're on the right track. And then I'm going to fold the other one over. Okay, so I have both the exterior fabric attached to the zipper on the other side, the interior fabric attached to the zipper on the other side. I'm going to reach into the exterior fabric tube, find the zipper pull. Here it is right there. Hope you guys can see that. And I'm going to open it. When I open it, then you can see how I have the outside of the bag starting and the lining of the bag. And all of my seams are encased. It's all enclosed. Okay, now I do need to press that one seam that I just did and do the little bit of top stitching before we move on to the next step. Alrighty, so I have my top stitching done on both sides of my zipper. So my next step is going to be to put my little tabs on. And remember, those tabs are going to go on right at the ends of the bag so that I have something to hook the bag onto. I'm going to turn the bag inside out. Easiest way to do it is just to zip it and flip it, right? So my bag is now inside out. I'm going to let the zipper be just a little bit open because I don't want this zipper tab to get in the way of the next steps that I make. So I'm folding my bag flat, okay, so that the zipper runs down the middle of the bag. My tabs, remember I had a 5 by 2 inch strip and I just folded it a couple of times to hide that raw edge and I cut it in half. So this is roughly 2.5 inches tall. I'm now going to fold it in half just like this, give it a nice little finger press, and then I'm going to insert it into the end right here. And I want it right in the middle, right where the zipper is going to lay. You'll see how this all makes sense and come together. And I'm just going to drop a couple of pins in on this side and on the other side. The pins will hold down my little tab and it'll also hold my zipper together. Okay, so it's going to allow my zipper to stay together and it's holding the tab that is on the inside. Now the positioning of the tab, I'll show you again with this one because it's going to go on the other side. I folded it in half just like that and I'm going to insert it into the side of the bag right here so that the folded end is laying toward the inside and the raw edge, the cut edge, is laying against the cut edge of the bag. Again, it needs to be in line with the zipper. So here we have it. Now I'm going to use about a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance coming down here and I'm going to stitch straight across this edge and straight across the bottom edge as well, using roughly 1/2 inch to 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. I do need to change my presser foot though because I don't need the zipper foot any longer. Do I need to worry about back stitching? No, not right now. Why did I choose a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance? What I'm trying to do is avoid the zipper stops, both at the start and the end of my zipper. You can see the little metal zipper stop here, and there's one down at the bottom as well. I want to avoid running over that. Okay, so as you are making your own bag, keep that in mind. I'm going to cut off the remainder of my zipper tape. So what I'm going to do now is make the corners that will allow my bag to puff up and box up so that it stands like the original. From the corner of the bag, I'm going to measure 1 1/4 inches and draw a box. This is also a step that you can customize to the size that you want based on the size of bag you're trying to achieve. Okay, so I have 4 boxes drawn, so I'm going to cut those boxes out. Okay, so now I have these 4 corners cut out. To box it, I'm going to take one corner, open it up like that, and sew along that edge. Before we go any farther, finishing the edges. The inside of the bag is going to have raw edges exposed. That's from the boxing of the corners and this horizontal seam, the seam that we made where the zipper is. Now you can do a few things to keep those raw edges under control. If you would like, you can polish it up and make it very sweet and nice by binding it. And it just takes a small piece of binding here, and then once you box your corners, drop a piece of binding here on all 4 corners. you can do that. You could also zigzag your edges on your domestic machine. You don't have to have anything fancy. Just do a simple zigzag that will cover the edge of that fabric so that as it's used, it's not going to unravel. You can also just leave it as it is if that's what you choose to do. So you do have some options there. I'm going to go ahead and do a zigzag on mine just to make sure that as I use it, there are no stray threads that are coming undone and getting stuck in the contents of my bag. And as I was sewing that, you may have noticed that I went really slowly. That was so that I could make sure that my needle did not hit the zipper stoppers. Let me do this side for you as well. Okay. I also opened up my bag a little more so that it'd make it easy to turn it inside out. So unboxing the corners, I'm just going to pull that opening, that square out, flatten it, and then stitch. Now on this part, I do want to back stitch to make sure that it does not unravel. I made the seam allowance a little bit smaller on this one. I brought it to 1/4 of an inch. And I did that just to maximize the amount of space in my bag. And once I have all 4 of the corners boxed, I am going to go ahead and do that zigzag again. When you do your zigzag stitch, make sure that when the needle jumps to the left, it does not cross over the straight line seam that you've already created. You do want your needle to drop just off of the fabric to the right when the needle jumps to the right, but you do not want it to cross the seam that you created when you'd sewn on the left. Okay, so you can see that I've boxed my corners, I stitched and I zigzagged them, both the horizontal and those verticals, both sides, right? So the last thing to do is to flip it inside out and see what the final product looks like. Oh, look at that little tab, that's so cute. Yep, I think I like this one better than the orange one. And there you have it. Cute little pencil bag with a little tabs. Put a key ring on so that it can hang in your backpack or in any of your bags. When I zip it open, you can see that it's nice and clean inside with a contrasting lining fabric. You think you can do this? I think you can. If you are wanting the specific dimensions and the pieces that I cut for this bag, you can check out the description box below. I'll have all of the instructions on how to make it. I'm so glad that you stuck around and watched this video. Comment below what you thought about it, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time on the next video. Bye.